Everybody push the button on their microphone there. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rockingham Select Board regular meeting. It's Tuesday, July 7th, 2020, 6:02. We're in the Town Hall Lower Theater tonight. Spaced apart, and we have members joining us on Zoom. I would like to call the meeting to order. Are there any additions to the agenda for routine administrative matters and/or pressing matters that will require ratification at a future meeting? So yes, we're going to add in number 9, the tax rate. We have that updated. And there's a couple items on the amended agenda that we're looking at. So we're also going to, if you don't have this agenda, Susan, number 6, discussion, closing the square. Number 7, the Barker Street fire update. And
Yeah,
then
I have the new agenda.
Okay, good. So that's it. We're going to add number 9, tax rate. Need to approve the minutes from June 2nd.
Move to approve.
Seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes from June 2nd. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Just like to say thank
Aye.
you there. Motion passes. They were very well detailed, I thought. Very good minutes. Thank you. Any public comments on items that are not on the agenda? You'll get 3 minutes per person. Anyone in Zoom? Okay. Managers report.
I'd like to reserve my comments to promoting the absentee balloting process. This right here reflects over 200 absentee ballots. We're trying to stay safe with this election, make sure that you participate in the absentee balloting. That way you can skip coming to the actual voting precinct. So congratulate everyone that has already participated, and I encourage everyone else to get on board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving right along, number 1 on the agenda is Gaskill Road. And there's quite a bit of information in our packets. We have some homeowners here tonight. I don't need to say anything unless there's any questions from the board or discussion. I think basically we need to make a decision. Everybody got the questions from Peter. We just simply, I think, need to make a decision to move forward.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to thank Peter Golick for helping us out with this process. It's really a simple action tonight. As you can tell that it's quite well prescribed in state law about all the steps. This can be a multi-month process. It doesn't matter, regrettably, if you're adding 860 feet or you're adding 8.6 miles or 86 miles. It's basically the same process through and through. Peter and I can navigate some of the legal stuff together, but this is something that you as the select board have full control over. There are other items like consulting the planning commission, but that is an option of yours. You don't have to take it. If we go forward, then you're going to see site visits as required by state law and the entire process. I will say, having seen the road, in my 20 years dealing with highway and adding roads, I've never seen something constructed to such a standard. I guess I'll leave that as it is. And the last item is I'd like to thank my children who ran down the road as I took station ID markers and evaluated road surface condition, et cetera.
I would second what appears to be the quality of the construction done up there. I'm no engineer, and we'll get all the reports as to the material and such, but it looks really nice up there. So we just need to either initiate or reject proposal for Gaskill Road reclassification.
I'll make the motion, Chairman, that we accept the reclassification of Gaskill Road as highlighted in the documentation that we have here, and that the town of Rockingham, the select board, move forward with the reclassification.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to initiate the Gaskill Road reclassification proposal.
Mr. Chairman, a point of order. Stefan mentioned that he wanted to accept the Gaskell Road. He meant to say he wanted to
Initiate.
go forward with the process. He added that at the end. But if we
Yeah.
vote on the motion that's presented, then we've already pretty much accepted the thing without doing any site visit, going through the process. So you may want to change it.
Initiate.
Just
Initiate, I'll accept that.
and strike the
Amendment.
first sentence off of that.
He amended it to say initiate.
Okay.
That work?
Yeah, that works for me. I just.
Okay,
point of
good.
order, that's
I
all.
agree, yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
well,
sir.
if we're in discussion, do we want to hear from the property owners who have attended?
I was going to check with Susan and then we'll get right to them. You have any questions, comments, Susan?
No, I was just gonna make the same point Peter did, so.
Okay, good.
We
Thank you.
just want to make sure that this motion is legal, in a way that's legal and doesn't get us in trouble.
Would you like to say anything or?
Just, maybe, I appreciate everybody going up there, taking a look at what we did. It's been a long time working on this road. And to see it for yourself, and I don't know, unfortunately, Mr. Everett's not here. And he was the one who originally was involved in it as well, and Peter Higgins and Andy himself was up there also. And we try to do everything according to what you asked, plus more. It was more than I anticipated financially. It was quite a bit more. And we just like to see thing passed and to go on from here, and hopefully that the road be taken care of, so it'd be have a little bit safer access in and out of our place and people who live up there. And I want to thank everybody who came up and really kind of checked things over. I appreciate that.
So will it ever come back to us for approval?
Yes.
So I just had a question about the mailboxes and stuff. That all gets worked out in the next process. They were asking, the mailboxes are all at the first turnaround. We own that land, we give that back, and then the new turnaround. So all that gets worked in your process.
Very much so.
Does the post office recommend that placement of those post office boxes? I mean, mailboxes, I think they have some control over that.
I would
I
say
wouldn't
so.
guarantee anything, but I know like now that most people have to run across the street to put the mail in a mailbox, and because that's where the post office wants it, on such and such side of the street. And not that it makes a big difference up there because not that much traffic, but
Yeah,
Might
the
wanna
Postal
cross that
Service
line.
has been less accommodating in recent years.
that's
So
fine.
I can't guarantee their process, but we'll tell them, look, this is a public highway now, and you need to act accordingly.
Yeah, well, just run it by them. I think you want to touch base with them.
Okay, the amended motion's been made and seconded.
Chairman, can I make just one comment?
sir.
I think also that we should instruct the manager to begin the process, hearing dates, et cetera,
Did you read it as written here, Stefan? We
No,
are
no.
requesting. So what do you have, Kathleen, so far?
I just have Stephen, motion to accept, then we amended it to initiate the reclassification of Gaskill Road.
And direct the manager to move forward. What do you think? What do you think?
How do we do it?
yes, set the hearing dates, et cetera.
Need to instruct the manager to move forward.
And so I can make
I'll make the
the
amendment if you want.
amendment, yeah. Which would be to instruct the municipal manager to move forward with the process.
Second.
Okay, motion has been amended and seconded to request the manager to initiate the Gaskill Road reclassification proposal. All those in favor would signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you very much, everyone involved.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Can I just say, ask one question, the map, surveying map for the property to be handed over to town, how does that go? To legally get a lawyer to hand that map over from DiBernardo to you, that surveying map for that cul-de-sac?
We'll work on that together. Yeah,
Well, that's already in process, that's why.
perfect. All right, we got a jump start on it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Next is Rockingham Highway update. I see Andy's hopefully doesn't have an emergency call there. Huh? He just went out on the phone.
We can start with the access permit.
Budzik, sure. Have an access permit. We just started, Andy. We're just gonna start on Budzik's access. Anybody have any questions, concerns with that?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we would approve the driveway permit for Mr. Budzik. It's pretty well cut and dry. I don't see any issues that are noted here in the paperwork, so I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and approved, seconded to approve the highway access 801 Saxons River Road. Any questions, comments?
822 Saxons River Road. I believe would be the physical address. I don't know if that makes a difference.
On the application, it was 822 is a new physical address.
Right.
That wasn't in the motion. All those in favor would signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you. Hyde Street, update. Hold on a second.
So Andy, why
Let me
don't
get
you come?
Oh, there's a
One
spare
spoken.
one.
Like here.
All right.
I'm right here.
There you go. Push that button. All right.
Me and Chuck have been working with Buck Adams and Dufresne Group on this. We're hoping to get started middle of August. We have to get an easement for the road that connects over from Hyde Hill to Bramley Way. It's not, we don't have a right of way to it, so we have to get an easement.
With Hyde Street, there's fairly a lot involved. You saw a memo from me basically articulating some of the variations from plans. That's an ongoing moving target. Thankfully, Dufresne Group is top-notch resident, so we'll have a plan in place pretty soon.
Any questions on
When's
it?
that scheduled?
Mid-August, I think it's like August 15th. We're gonna have to close the bottom section once they get past the road that goes up to the brook. We're gonna have to close the road off once they get down further. So we're gonna have to send cars up over from that section up over to Bramley Way.
All right, thank you.
And Grizzle Drive drainage is complete, other than one catch basin that needs to be hot mixed in. And I was hoping to get it paved in when they did Burton Blake, but I talked to the contractor. They had issues with the paver and won't be here till the end of July to do Burton Blake, the top coat. And then we're going to do everything that was in the bid for Springfield paving when they do that, except for Hyde Hill.
So right after Bird and Blake, they're
Yep.
gonna do it?
Yep, I want them to go right up over Grizzle Drive, and then they'll go through after they pave, bring the manhole covers up to grade, and then probably going to be now towards the end of August before they chip seal it.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep, we pretty much got all, every road's been graded. We're holding off now. Everything's looking really good, even with this hard rain we've gotten. It's holding up. We're hauling sand. We're at just under 2,000 yards. not quite halfway there. Crosswalk painting, parking lines are going to be started tonight. Well, actually early morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. There's signs up downtown, so please don't park downtown.
Now, there was some forecasts for thunderstorms overnight,
I watched the weather. I didn't see nothing till 11 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah,
Really?
Yep, so they're coming in 3 o'clock in the morning and starting then. They'll be done by then. We've been working on roadside mowings ongoing. We've had some issues with the mower. It's up and running now. So we're a little behind on that. We've been cleaning the garages. Burton Blake Street retaining wall is complete, and this isn't correct now. Mid-July, we were going to pave. That's not happening until July 30th. Saxon River Sidewalk project is complete. Went very smooth. I had compliments from the homeowners out there, said they did an excellent job. Gravel crushing is going to start July 13th.
Yes, sir.
Green Street, did they patch that sewer line in
Yep,
yet?
yep,
I didn't know, I haven't been down
Yep,
there.
that's all patched
Okay,
in. That
just
was completed by
I
Jason
know they got
Perry.
Atkins Street
Yep.
finally, so,
Yep, that was done June 15th, I think it was.
okay, no, I just haven't been by there, so.
Yep.
What size are they gonna crush the gravel to? Different than what we,
Yes, yep, we're going with a little smaller, what we're gonna use on the road. It's gonna be 1.25 inches.
quite a lot of it,
5,000 yards.
because you have some 2.5.
Yes,
so
we still
but
have
you
two
don't
and a
use
half.
that much.
No,
So that's changed. Then.
yes,
Good.
Did.
yep, that's changed.
Thank you.
And then, did we skip winter sand?
No, I went through it. We're hauling sand. It's still ongoing. We're at just under 2,000 yards. So not quite halfway there on the sand. Hopefully by mid-August, we'll have it sand all in.
Gaetano, can I just ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to know, do we have a sense of how long the gravel crushing will be? Because I know Bartonsville neighbors will want to know, because we do hear it.
I'm gonna guess around a little over a month and a half.
Years.
All right, thanks. Just so I can let them know if they ask.
Yep, I can get a better date once they, here next week when they start. I can get, a better date when they'll be done.
No, I just need a range. That's fine. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm thinking a month and a half tops.
I had a request for the manager and highway, if you could look at the Hall Bridge, which the homeowner up there has been asking me for several years. The boards are like.
Yep. I actually had Scott Bingham headed out to look at it today. I didn't get back with him to see what he found out with it.
Excellent.
What we're gonna do.
Thank you.
That's that bump up that you get.
Yeah.
He's got a little car and
No, I know,
Yeah.
'cause
Pretty
I got a small
aggressive.
car, yeah.
we just take a power plane and whack.
Well, I'm
them.
not sure if it's the boards now because they actually said what happened was when they blew the bridges off this spring, they might have blown the dirt gravel too far out, so it's not ramped up anymore.
Okay.
So
Perfect. Thank
that
you.
might be part of the problem.
Will there be more painting of the parking lines after tonight?
Yes, until they're done. Yep.
Okay.
I'm hoping here for the next month or however long it takes to paint, we're gonna get them done.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank everyone for their hard work.
Yep. Any other questions?
I don't have any.
We don't got it.
We're good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
You're welcome.
Here we have, next, item number 3, board appointments. Information in your packets here.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we appoint David Bemis as safety officer duly charged with enforcing the nuisance blighted, unsound, or abandoned property ordinance.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to appoint David Bemis as safety officer duly charged with enforcing the nuisance blighted, unsound, or abandoned property ordinance. Questions?
Pretty clear and straightforward that you need an officer to issue the tickets, so
Is there a deputy?
it's, Sean's also able to write tickets, but they wanted an additional person, so it's pretty well explained in our memo.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. There's suggested motions on the following page. First, one more at the bottom of that page.
I guess the first one we got the DRB. Mr. Chairman, I move that we appoint Travis Kemp to serve on the Development Review Board effective July 7th, 2020, which will fill the vacant term that ends December 1st, 2021.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to appoint Travis Kemp, serve on Development Review Board, effective with the dates stated. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes.
Next one, I believe, is the Planning Commission. Here's there are three, 4 or 5, some are just renewals and a couple of new ones. So I will start with the first motion. A move to appoint Tyler Stanley to serve as a Planning Commission effective July 7th for a 1-year term ending June 30, 2021. I believe this is the student one.
Yes.
Second.
Motions have been made and seconded to appoint Tyler Stanley, serve on the Planning Commission. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
It looks like you got another one here. Mr. Chairman, I move that we appoint Kate Room to serve on the Planning Commission effective July 7th, 2020, to fill the term ending on June 30, 2022.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to appoint Kate Room, serve on the Planning Commission. Any questions? All those in favor would signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Next one will be, Mr. Chairman, I move that we appoint Guy Payne to serve on the Planning Commission effective July 7th to fill a 1-year term ending June 30, 2021.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to appoint Guy Payne, serve on the Planning Commission.
Chairman, this one is for helping out with the town plan, and as soon as it's completed, Mr. Payne will step down from the board, so it's just a temporary addition.
Okay. If there's no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes.
Finally, we get to the last one. It's a renewal. Mr. Chairman, I move that we appoint Bonnie North to serve a new term on the Planning Commission effective July 7th and ending on June 30th, 2023.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to appoint Bonnie North to serve on the Planning Commission. Any questions? All those in favor would signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you all very much. Next, item 4 is going to be the revolving loan fund. We have a memo. We have Katie's here tonight. And we want to do an overview or discuss anything?
You get a motion? Share, table first,
Do we?
generally. Mr. Chairman, I would move that we would move forward and approve the revolving loan fund approval of the Crazy Beans LLC loan. This is a loan that is a loan that's taking over the current ownership of the Flatiron building down there. It would be paying off the balance of the loan of $9,252.75.
Do you want to read the terms?
Don't need a turn.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and
Now you can ask what you want.
seconded. Questions, comments, discussion? Motion on the table. If all those are in favor would signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we would approve the loan application for Red Dog Ventures, Troy Wheeler and Saxon River. It's the first one we've had out there in Saxon River. It was for $50,000 loan. He's taking over, Ian, I can't think of his last name, the welder out there in Saxon River, that property that he owns out there, pretty much filled out with rentals. So it was pretty much straightforward. There were some questions raised at the RLF board, but it was passed unanimously. So,
Was that a motion?
yep.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve Red Dog Ventures for $50,000 loan. Any questions? All those in favor would signify by saying aye.
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 That motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, next we have Shannon with the financial update.
So real high level financial update, because of the holiday, we just received bank statements. We are still on target to come in where we thought we would when I gave you the last set of financials. We will be closing out the books and giving you updated financials via email. If anybody would like a printed copy, when I do that, just let me know. Just reply back to the email and let me know.
So this, okay. Anybody have any questions? Okay, we have nothing. We have no questions.
Well, we might have questions when we get the
Right.
paperwork.
Okay. Next, item number 6, discussion in closing the square to vehicle traffic for special events that support businesses. So I think this got brought up at the joint board meeting and we'd like to further the discussion. I'm not sure what the guidelines are here or the purpose at this point is we have any information here?
Susan, would we like to tag team this? Can you start?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've just had some businesses contact me who would be interested in, they've seen what's happened in other communities due to COVID and the need to have more space outside, that in some towns, they've been able to close off their square or, part of their or certain streets. And I mean, I think our square potentially could be closed off if businesses want. I mean, I haven't heard from all of them, obviously. I think it's just should be something that we discuss about how do we contact businesses to see if there is interest, what the process would be, how the impact would have on traffic. I mean, I would envision it being more of a weekend type event because deliveries will have to be made and there is probably more traffic going through during the week. But anyway, I would like to know what the possibility is and the interest within the business community to do such a thing. If there's no interest, then there's no need to discuss it.
This actually ties a little bit in with old home days when we used to close off the square for the same purpose. Or, unfortunately this year, Old Home Days is probably going to be canceled due to COVID-19. But I think this closing is somewhat along that same idea, Sue, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but for more than one day. I mean, it would be potentially several weekends in this, a month, or maybe every weekend during the summer. I mean, there's many ways that it could be done. Um, but I mean, the main point is to enable businesses to utilize that space so that they would encourage more people to feel comfortable to coming, that they don't have to have such closed spaces. And they can open for the restaurants, that they can open up more tables.
So this would be for all the businesses and it's not,
All businesses,
okay,
yeah, all
so,
businesses.
and
I
my
think.
next question,
Yeah.
okay, and my next question is this like post-pandemic type? Because I don't believe we can have large gatherings at this time. So is this something for the future planning?
No, I'm thinking pandemic, and I mean, it could be structured in a way that each business would still have their limits to how many people they could have. I mean, there's so many questions that would have to be answered about how you could do it. I'm just thinking there's a space that's defined by parking lots at both ends, that it might be possible to close the immediate part of the square. I don't know where the lines would be drawn. That would have to be looked at. I mean, we were
Right.
talking last week about just the sidewalk. I'm thinking, why not potentially open it to beyond the sidewalk and leave the sidewalks for pedestrians?
I agree with all of that, but it's the number of people that might show up as it's kind of it, and it's like a street party type event, which may gather large groups of people. That's why my question is, was this for now or future? I remember.
Well, I mean, right now the outdoor space is at 150 people. I can't imagine we'd have that many people every weekend. I mean, if it was a one-day event and it was a festival, then yes. But if this is a streets, the square is open from, I don't know, all of August. I don't think you would have massive crowds coming. I mean, I think it would enable businesses to have more. But again, it's a question for businesses. Do they even have an interest? Because they would have to make an investment in tables and barriers and many other things.
I would take it that
Hold on, Stefan. Peter had his hand up.
I think we need to poll the businesses to find out.
Mhm.
I think, you got Coda on the island, and they're going to need access on the south end of the square to get down to it that way. I don't know about where you're thinking of closing it off from, whether it's by the Roasters building or further up the street, maybe by the diner, PK's. I think we need to find out what they think they can do with that. And you may even have to look at setting hours, like they do at home days. It's closed like from 5 to 9 or whatever, and no traffic is allowed down there. I don't know. I guess we need to hear from the businesses and see.
Yeah, definitely.
What their ideas.
Yeah, I'm not
are.
saying close it now. I'm saying let's see whether there's even an interest and
Right.
what the possibilities are. Do you close it right so that you can come by the coffee shop and then go down Island Street? Or, I mean, where you would have to look at the access points, and you'd want to be able to utilize the public parking. So people would park. Anyway, there's many things that would have to be looked at. I'm just raising this as, because I know Jim Mitchell mentioned it briefly last week as well. And I just thought it was something that was further worth looking into.
Yeah, because with your traffic, the only restrictions you got is the Depot Street Bridge. That's got a weight limit on it. So if you're directing traffic down through there, that could present a problem.
Hold on, Stefan has a comment.
Yeah, I just want to, I think it's a pretty good idea. I was going to reiterate what Peter said, and that is that we talk to these businesses that are down here. And that would include places such as like the Polish Club or the American Legion. If I don't know what you're talking about closing for an area that would have to be established as an idea, then we take another look at that. If you're talking from out front of the antique store up to, say, the Walgreens, I mean, I think we really need to take a look at it. Plus downtown here, there's businesses that depend on traffic to make it. And the other topics are, there's a lot of people in this community that are older or elderly. They may not want to walk so far. So I think there's a lot of factors, a lot of elements to take into consideration before I would support closing anything.
You have anything to add to that, Ben?
No, I just wanted to make sure that all the businesses were
Yep.
talked to, not just food businesses.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to
But other than
start.
that, yeah.
Susan, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I would say, I don't know if it's something that Gary could put on his plate, or, I mean, it could be done as a simple poll, like a Survey Monkey kind of a thing,
Yeah.
where businesses could put in their comments and where they might have an idea where would be best to close it. I mean, maybe you do close it at the parking lot by Moondog, just the immediate downtown square. Or maybe you do move it up past the diner. I don't know. I think the businesses need to have that input because they are the ones who are going to be the most impacted.
Yep. Gary was nodding his head, and I don't know if anyone on the board has anything else. I don't have anything else at this time, so we'll go to Chuck and then Gary.
We just need clear direction from the board to proceed. This would be a use of resources, so it would be good for you to give us some direction.
I'm in strong favor of asking every business how they feel.
I mean, having been involved with the Rockingham Old Home Days at times in the past, some of the feedback, and that's what I'm drawing from the experience. Some business owners felt it was the benefit to shut down the square, and then there was some that didn't. And some of them are still existing today on both sides. So I think it's
The first step is the input. Because there's a laundromat. It'd be hard to carry they're not going to thrive from this sidewalk sales.
This is the 8th downtown we've done this. With my background in transportation, we would engage Wyndham Regional Commission. Wyndham Regional Commission would ask what was the direction of the select board. They have traffic count data. They can tell us what the impacts. Some of those issues associated with transportation, quite frankly, the businesses wouldn't know. They would understand their piece of it, but they wouldn't understand sort of the larger impacts. Because I would have direction from the board to proceed, I would be able to access those resources in addition to internal.
The comment I would make was that I'm sure and I've seen it on a Saturday morning, there's a hardware store that depends on a lot of traffic. What I would certainly do would be to encourage, as it has been, curbside pickup. Encourage people to shop locally and to take the initiative and to do the curbside. So I think we need a lot more input from every business, not just food businesses, et cetera.
Gary, you have any comments? Anything you want to say right now, or?
Nope, Chuck covered everything and more. I'm good, thanks.
Okay, great, thank you. So how's that, Susan? We discussed it. We agree to move forward with the next step seems to contact the businesses. Get the results.
That sounds good.
Okay, great.
Gary can put up a quick survey or something and get it out. Yeah, that'd be great.
Even if it's, in the future, I remember those days. It was fantastic. It's a great small town sidewalk sale event. Okay, next we have item number 7, the Barker Street Fire Update Public Health Review discussion. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll take the lead on this. We all know that 9 Barker Street had quite a fire. Gaetano was one of the people responding to that fire. Were you there as well, Ben? Okay.
I was on vacation.
Sorry. And that was actually a fear that every manager has about a 4th of July type of event, is that most fire departments, just about any department really, is people on vacation and so forth. I want us to think about the second chapter. I'm going to approach this board next month about a health order. We have a asbestos positive building. Thank you, Peter. He's nodding. This isn't his first rodeo. Peter knows that asbestos, like 10 Church Place, will require some remediation. Those materials, just like in Church Place, every time there's a storm, there's drift. So you see a building right now that is deeply compromised, and we need to look to this next step. So this is a heads up if you have any questions about process, but expect in your August meeting to act as a Board of Health and to move this forward.
Being as this is similar to Church Place, we're looking at the sizable amount of money, number one. Number two, have the owner, we had contact with the owners. I understand they live in the vicinity.
We are working with the owners. I mean, right now they're in a sort of emergency, sort of this happened phase, but we're going to be working with them on this next phase. To your point, I pulled out the numbers over the weekend. I'm estimating anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000 for the removal, demolition. Because there's friable asbestos, what we know is bad enough. What we don't know may be even worse. But all that material has to be shipped to special landfills. It has to be treated differently. And the procedures for removing that it's much more arduous than if you had just a regular demolition.
Gaetano, I have a question. Was there insurance on this building? I mean, the Church Street did not have insurance, but I don't know about this.
I have been informed that this building was not insured. It was vacant. Just the vacancy alone, any insurance person will tell you they tend to not want to cover those.
Yeah, but it was under construction, so I don't know if there was some type of construction insurance that was put on it, which difficult to get, but can be gotten.
Well, I think the couple clear differences that stand out to me immediately is the size. Church Place, I would say, is 3 times the size of what was left standing. This is significantly reduced in size. And the other difference in Church Place is, I think this homeowner was there that, immediately and is in touch and willing to work to get through this. So perhaps there could be a better resolution as far as costing the town taxpayers money. So size and the fact that the homeowner seems interested to see where to go from here, not ignoring our pleas.
When you come forward with that help order next month, Chuck, can we have the information as to, you just gave us an estimate, but if it does fall on the town, where would we find the money in the budget?
I'm working on that right now.
Yeah, I just,
My estimates are lower than Church Place, expecting what Gaetano said, less than, but I'd like to be able to get you a couple of different financing options available.
Church Place was 110, 120.
Thereabouts, yes, 115.
So we'll get updated as we go, and
Gaetano, your mic is off.
my mic is off.
Yep.
Lit up red and green.
We can't hear you well.
Speak very loudly. Now? Worse, right?
Nope.
Here we go. How about now?
Yep. But it must, it's like a shorts or something.
Roger.
No, out again. You're gonna have to yell, buddy.
It's out again?
Here, we'll grab
Out.
your replacement mic. How's that?
Get the
Speak
spare
really
one.
loudly. How about now?
That's better. Thank you.
So it was a good discussion, we'll hope to have a different outcome, and we'll check back with where we're at our next meeting. I had just one more question, perhaps. The gable wall on the Delta side of that building looks very frail and could possibly end up in the road. Would you agree?
Agreed.
Is there any plan to remedy that?
So what I see this as being staged. Yes, the structure is of concern, and we will have somebody from a structures background looking at it. The other concerns are just cleanup in and around the area, then securing the building from entry. And I do believe there will be some kind of buttressing. As best I can tell, there's really not a whole lot supporting that anymore.
If the wall is freestanding and it's leaning out, I would push it in.
Yes.
and be done with it. They could tap it
Mr. Chairman,
with something. Yes, sir.
I, again, haven't checked the weather. There's predicting thunderstorms and potential for winds, so that'd be into Wednesday. Not to dispute you, but I just checked it again. They're saying thunderstorms after 9 p.m. tonight, sporadic, and then tomorrow could be heavy rain and thunderstorms. And that's according to national weather at Albany.
And even
Tomorrow-
with the
tomorrow for sure, yeah.
even
Yeah.
with the breezes, that structure seems to be moving.
That's what I'm saying.
So yeah, we may have a speedier result.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Susan?
All set, thanks.
Okay, moving on, number 8. Main Street Arts and Bellas Falls Opera House. Discussion, further the discussion we started in the joint meeting. And it wasn't a village matter, so here we are. Anyone have anything on the board they'd like to add or discuss or updates since last week?
Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Yes, sir.
I think the board should stand by its decision in asking the manager to have the material removed from the building. Number one, foremost, is that we're not a storage facility for anyone. In fact, Mr. Chairman, the manager is trying to clean out stuff that's been in here for years. Hopefully it's being checked before it's chucked, but it just seems to me that, we're storing everybody's equipment, and I don't think that's the correct way to do things. Also, follow-up, that was an article in the Shopper from Mr. Stern. This is one that was in the Commons last week, and it reaffirms that there's, I can read the article if you want it, I have it right here with me, that they are very indefinite as when they're going to be in operation again. And understanding that, I understand that. I have nothing against MSA, nothing against arts or anything else. It's just that I just think it's a common thing to us to have that stuff removed from here. If they never get back in here again, because they can't put that production on, then, who knows? But I just think that with the uncertainty and this COVID-19 stuff that's going on, I just think we should follow up our decision to have the stuff removed.
Mr. Speaker, may I speak on behalf of Main Street Arts?
Yeah, hold on, please, sir.
Okay.
The select board,
get-
I've asked the select board if they had any. And then when they all get an opportunity, we'll go to the audience. Thank you.
Gaetano, I'd like to speak to that. I disagree, Peter, and the board. I agree with, I think the proposal that Main Street Art sent us all, I don't know, earlier this week makes sense to me. I mean, this is a very unusual situation. I mean, if we had held off on closing the stay-at-home order, if we had the stay-at-home order just 2 weeks later, they would have been out of there. The show would have been done. So this is a very unusual situation. And a lot of time and money went into constructing that set that I think we need to support our local organizations. And it's not impacting the movie theater at this moment. First of all, we're not showing movies, and studios are not releasing movies at the moment.
Susan,
So I support,
Susan.
I support that. Yes.
1 second.
Uh-huh.
If I could ask the folks who are typing, we can't see that and we'll never be able to address it. We'll give everyone an opportunity to speak, but typing a statement, we can't see it. So if you just give us a minute, we'll give you an opportunity to speak. Because I see them popping up, but we can't read them. And then Susan, if you had anything else to continue.
No, I mean that proposal that MSA put forward had a long list of people who are supporting to keep this here. I mean, I think for the time being, and their proposal, just for, the public's knowledge, was that if a show is booked and it interferes with a show, a musical act or something, and it's in the way, then they will move it. So I think they're being very accommodating. At the moment, there is nothing happening. So I think it would hurt them and cause them a lot of financial strain to have to move a set that was built already.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else over here?
I guess my only thing is pretty straightforward, that the Opera House isn't a storage facility. I can think of a lot of different things to compare it to, but that's really my only thing, is that.
But
Hold on, I'm not done.
Yep, sorry.
And I'm not supporting MSA, but at this time, looks like it could be quite a while out, so. And I don't see how this is gonna put them under having to take that apart, based on some of the numbers they've given us.
Stefan, did you have, it's your turn?
Yeah,
You have a
it's-
comment?
It's not that I don't support the arts. I mean, I frequented New York City many times to see some shows, and it's nice that we're having some activity here going on in our village, in our town. But we have a municipal manager that took the initiative on a mission to clean out some stuff. And I don't want to say that we're not a storage facility, but I mean, I want to relate to it sort of like this. If I've got an old car and I want to see my buddy and park it in his garage, and I'm going to fix it and I'll get it out of there in a while. If it stays there too long, I'm going to start asking, how long is a while? How long is it going to be there? When's it going to get finished? We're looking at January 3rd, I think was the date that was mentioned at the joint meeting. And then there's already talk last evening on public radio about a resurgence of this COVID in the fall, which I'm sure could get mixed up with the flu and maybe be worse. I don't know, but I'm going to concur with the fellow select board members here that have spoken. We need to clean some things out. And again, we're not a storage facility.
Gaetano, I think it's completely unfair to compare Main Street Arts, who had built a very elaborate set with a lot of man hours and a lot of money.
Susan,
with
I haven't
stuff
had
that
a
was-
chance. I haven't had a chance to speak. We've
Okay,
given you a chance.
well, I didn't realize you were going
So,
to speak. Go
so
ahead.
as you were about to go on about the elaborate set and this and that, but a minute ago you said, should we book an act, they'll come and move it. But on the other hand, we're hearing this will bankrupt and collapse that company if we ask them to move it. So I get mixed signals when we asked about the possibility of removing the stage and in the future coming back to put on this performance. So they say in one hand that they'll do it in 24 hours, it can be done. But a week ago, they said it will ruin them and they would blame the select board. And so it's either one of the other. And I mean, to me, it isn't about MSA. If it was anyone up there, we'd be having this discussion. It's about following the rules, the town-owned facilities. That's all I have to say.
Well, for me to finish, I just want to say, I think it's unfair to compare this very unusual situation with stuff that's been in town hall for 20 years that's being cleaned out. I don't think it's a fair comparison. And I think it's a big unknown about, I mean, I run a nonprofit. I know how you rely on volunteers, you rely on funding and grants to do a project, to pull a show together. I can see how it could impact their long term. They're just saying if it needed to be out of there, they could pull it out. But it would possibly have a very long-term impact on their ability to pull together another show. And I think that would be terrible because community really looks forward to these shows, which is why there's that long list of people supporting keeping it there for now while it is not causing any harm. They have insurance.
Yep, we read the,
Yeah,
all
we
the
did,
emails.
but the public has not read that. So that's why I state that. That's all I want to say at the moment. I'd like to hear from Main Street Arts.
Okay, I don't know if Shannon, did they raise their hands or who would like to?
How do we let you know we want to speak?
Well, Gabby spoke earlier. Let's go to him first. He was very polite last week.
Hi, thank you for bringing this up again. And we know that it's been a lot of discussion. We thought that putting in a proposal to you that addressed all of the issues that you had brought up would make it the quickest and easiest way to come to a solution. In terms of being a storage facility, we were actually using the lower theater to store our costumes and personal belongings. And when asked, we removed them immediately. The set is not our tools. The set is not just our personal belongings. It's a large scale work of art. And when we take down a set, we can't take it apart piece by piece so it can just be put back together. It will literally have to be sawed apart to get out of there. And so to rebuild it is not just putting the pieces back together like a Lego. So there is a large financial question around whether we'd be able to do it again. We don't know what our financial situation will be like. We're trying to keep as much funds available, but it would have a serious impact on being able to do the show quickly and being able to put it back up. We also see it as an offering. As we wrote in our proposal, we would be happy for musical performances or events to use the stage with a set, which is not really specific to our show. It's just a really cool space. So we're not trying to just store something there, but it is there, and we're just asking that it be incorporated there until it no longer works for you all. Again, we did not say in the proposal we could do it in 24 hours because we can't all be in there at once to take it down. We're saying that we could do it in a week, and it would be a difficult process having to pull on a lot of volunteers, but it's something that we could do. So what we're asking is that we be allowed to keep this large work of art there that is not causing any harm. It is not just a collection of our belongings and we'll keep our insurance there. The long list of people supporting our proposal is only a handful of people that we reached out to since in the last few days. I believe that the community does not see a reason for us to have to take this down. And we're really just asking you, if you say that you support the arts, to please right now support the arts by letting us keep our set there. Thank you.
I have one question.
Yes.
Before I move on. You just stated that, I mean, last week someone was throwing around $90,000 profit numbers from the last. See, I'm getting off topic. This isn't about your performance, your business, but you did just state that if the Opera House booked another gig, that you could move your stuff. Say they didn't, you just said that, right?
I think that we could take it apart
take it apart and move it. So another performer could use the stage, right?
They had to, and they could also use the stage with our
Let's say they weren't interested.
Okay.
So you could take it apart and move it. Would that be the same as, would that make it so it'd be impossible for you to ever financially be able to set that stage up again? Is that different? Is that different than?
Yes. So
the Opera House saying we need you to move your stuff?
No, so like I said, we would have to take the set apart and in a way that we couldn't just put it back together. It would cost a large amount of money for us to rebuild the set. And in the future, when COVID-19 passes, all organizations are going to be in a rough spot. It's going to be difficult for us to bounce back. And if we have the set there, it will mean that we can just put on the show and earn money, which we also pay to you all to use the space and that you get from our ticket sales. So yeah, we couldn't take it apart in a week, but that means that we would not be able to.
Okay. And was the original contract, did anyone ever find that? Does anyone have a copy of it?
There have only been verbal contracts because of unwillingness on the part of the Opera House and
there is no contract.
That is correct.
Okay.
So can I?
I don't know what the order is.
I'd
Go
like,
ahead, Dave. Go ahead, David. Either David or Bonnie, whoever would like to go next.
Okay, there have been a couple of things said about finances and a few other items I'd just like to address to clarify. Yes, it is true. We have grossed some very good money at the Opera House, and we have spent some very good money in creating productions. In our best shows, we've made between $40,000 and $50,000 on the show. In that year, we ended in the black by about $10. I'm going on unemployment. We're not laying off our staff because we're flush with cash. The fact that we make decent money, occasionally, our fall production at the Opera House did not make money at all, Secret Garden. The fact that we've made some decent money should be good, I think, in the eyes of the select board. We have also made more money for the town of Rockingham at our productions than were made during the movie. At least the only time that comparison was made specifically was for Sweeney Todd, and the Opera House and the town made more money off of our productions. And since that time, they have only raised rates, including a raise of the per rehearsal price and a waiving of the 200-seat not charged by seat fee price. I guess I look at Main Street Arts as a central business in the town of Rockingham. In terms of Saxton's River, there is very little major infrastructure there to attract people to town, to fill restaurants. And I would argue that the entertainment we bring also, although you didn't really want to look at the testimonial from Gary Smith last time, we've gotten very, very positive support, not only for what we've earned for the Opera House, but what we have earned for local businesses. I'm confused as to why, if it does not cost the town of Rockingham anything to allow us to stay there, why the impetus would not be to support A, a local business, B, a business that brings money locally to other businesses, and which nationally is being sought as the major driver economically after retail, which is the arts economy. I do want to say one more thing. I think you were affected by somebody who spoke last week who is not a member of Main Street Arts, who is not on the board, who spoke about our ruination and so on. Although I appreciate his arduous support, that is not coming from Main Street Arts.
Okay, thank you. Bonnie?
I start off by saying I think you're shooting yourselves in the foot here. I've ushered and taken tickets at some of these performances, and I have been so impressed by the number of people that come in that have never been to the Opera House before. Mm-hmm. And they say, wow, this place is great. And you have movies here. The last show they had, Chicago, a friend and I decided we'd go, we had tickets, we'd get something to eat first. There was not a seat to be had in town. There seems to be no actual logic to demanding that they destroy the set they build because they just don't want it there.
The first statement explained exactly the reasons, Bonnie.
They're not a storage place.
No, and the fact that this show may never happen. We don't know what the future holds. So to say your last comment is not true. The statement is based off of the information that's real and happening.
This show may not happen because of unknowns that are not their fault. We're not
blaming them. We're not saying it's anyone's fault. We're saying it's the unknown.
Just stay there. What is this about?
I'm sorry?
To just say you have rules and you're not a storage facility doesn't seem to me, and many other people, a really valid reason to make them destroy this set. And what they're saying is it's going to be very, very costly to get it built.
We heard that. We heard that.
That's my feeling. You're shooting yourselves in the foot. You're shooting this town in the back. Thank you.
If the show never happens, what will we do in 6 months? Have the same discussion and then have folks seemingly getting mad at the select board members for asking someone to remove their set of a show that we don't know if it's ever going to happen?
We don't know
have plans.
about a lot of things right now.
I'm sorry?
The whole world doesn't know about a lot of things.
Exactly. The whole world, a lot of folks are out of business. A lot of folks are uncertain about their future.
For it now, but it's not hurting anything.
Excuse me, Gaetano, can I interject?
I have a hand in the back that's had their hand up for one moment, Susan.
Okay.
So,
Katie Scott Dearborn.
I'm just.
Here.
Yeah, please the mic.
So I'm Katie Dearborn, and I'm just kind of listening and observing. And there's just a couple of things that I want to bring up. I think overall, Main Street Arts and the town of Rockingham have always had a really good working relationship. I think there were some great points about what has been brought into this community as a traffic generator to support these businesses. I understand a concern of storing something for an indefinite period of time because there is such an unknown. But I think more importantly, what I think I would suggest that the board consider is your relationship with the and I think that we're hearing from some folks that are pained by the thought of having to remove the artwork that's there because quite honestly, you can't take it down and put it back up. It's probably going to be destroyed and then they have to do it again. So I guess my only comment to the board is, would there be consideration for a period of time that it could just be there, knowing that you have a strong relationship with Main Street Arts and that in the event that it has to be removed, it can be, but there is a possibility that things could change. And if you force them to remove it, they'd have to rebuild it. If you allow them to keep it for a period of time, even if you revisit it a month from now, months from now, I think that in good faith, they're wanting to keep it here so they don't have to if in fact
We're clear on that. If we wouldn't reconsider anything until January 3rd of next year would be the first available opportunity to put on that performance. There would be no need to revisit it in a month or 2 months. January 3rd is the first possible
date that they'd be able to use the Opera House. And if in fact there's no other productions, there's no movies, and January 3rd came around and nothing happened during that period
We can
of
show
time.
movies.
I'm sorry, what?
We can show movies.
You
We're
can show
soon to show movies with limited seating.
So that has to be taken down for movies to be able to
No,
occur?
not at all.
So I guess just the,
Working on other performances,
I think at the end of the
which
day.
we've explained that.
I think at the end of the day, it would be very sad if January 3rd came around and they could potentially have a production where they were forced to get done.
Susan,
I was just going to mention something similar to what Katie just said with that. I mean, I think that we can just revisit this come January or whatever our first meeting in January is. We'll have a better sense of what's happening with COVID. If it's going to look like we got a whole nother year coming, then we have a discussion with Main Street Arts again. But I don't see the problem in just leaving it where it is because I see a big problem in taking it away.
okay. Rick, do you have a statement future plans? Are we going to be trying to get some performances in here? What is your plan with that facility?
My plan with the facility is to do the job that I've been hired to do, which is to try to make money for the Bellows Falls Opera House. I will be investigating every movie and live performance I possibly can put on.
Excellent. And is it restricted now to limited number of seats, but you could hold a performance in there next Sunday, should someone want to book a gig in your facility that would generate revenue for the Opera House. The Opera House that is also struggling through this time with revenue.
We certainly could, according to the governor's guidelines, with restricted seating, put on a performance. Yes.
Thank you very much. Peter.
Mr. Chairman, in hopes of trying to end this dilemma, might I suggest a proposal here? Why don't we tell or request that MSA to get 3 months when we revisit this in September? If we wait until January, we're going to be in the middle of our budget season. You know how crazy that gets. So we're not going to want to be having this on the agenda in the middle of budget season. So I think if we let them store it here for until September and revisit it again, and as Sue mentioned earlier, that we may have some prognosis as to where this COVID thing's going. If it looks like it's going to extend for another year or two, because there's no vaccine available, et cetera, there's no real end to it. And I don't think that, and so maybe MSA can correct me if I'm wrong, but even if they were able to put a production on at a limited seating, I don't think they can make a new dollar for an old one at this point. David, I don't know how that sets with you, but I'm looking at you because you seem to think the numbers there. So I don't know how that would work out. I mean,
What if Rick has booked a gig for 3 weeks in August for the company? What do we do
well,
then?
at that point, we'd have to have them remove it. They just offered to move it.
Come back and have the same discussion?
No, I think we write it into an agreement that that's what's going to happen. If we have to book a show and if we are lucky enough to book one, then they will have to come in and remove it.
That was in their proposal that they sent to us, if I remember right, that if a show was booked, they would unfortunately come in and move it. 3 months would be October though, correct? So we'd relook at this beginning of October?
What's a month? I'm not fussing.
A big, with COVID, a huge month.
I know
I mean,
it is, but I'm
2
just saying,
weeks,
if
this
you
show
want
would have been
October, that's
done and
fine with
over
me,
and
but
not a problem.
we keep stretching it on, stretching it on, stretching it on. We'll be here every 3 months or every 6 months or every 2 months.
Well,
We'll be
you said-
discussing this and nothing gets done.
You said, I mean, you had just said 3 months, and I'm just saying that 3 months is actually beginning of October.
That's
Sadly.
fine. I disagree with you.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Oh, I thought you meant, I was reading you the wrong way, Peter, sorry.
No, I just mentioned
Yep.
September just on a quarterly basis. That's all I was thinking.
Okay.
But if they're amenable to going out till like 3 months from now, which is October, and if we have to book a show or for some reason there is a show booked, then they'll just have to remove it. Come in. They've offered to do that. So I think that's a fair compromise at this point, at this juncture.
I
And
agree.
if nothing happens, if no show gets booked, then we can extend it for another whatever. As to say,
Correct.
right now, according to David, their target date for production or performance would be in January. So if they have nothing available or they have nothing on the prognosis of where they're going, seems like to that point, it's time for them to move on. And maybe they can figure between that and 6 months, other people that do performances and make their sets have it set up so they can bolt it together. I mean, to me, it's just simple. I know that like the Paramount, they get, whoever comes into the Paramount in Rutland, they got a week. You come in, you take it down, you put it together and out you go. And most of the performances there have their stuff pre-made that they're able to put together very quick and take and dismantle very easily. So I'm just a suggestion of what I'm seeing out there.
All right. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we ask Rockingham Select Board has Main Street Arts remove their set from the Bellows Falls Opera House, and that the manager and Opera House director see that this happens. in a timely manner.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to the manager ask Main Street Arts to remove their equipment in a timely manner. Any discussion from the board members?
What's defined as a timely manner, I guess, is the question.
I think it was stated in there with the safe distancing that you had said 2 weeks, 30 days. What was the original thing? Because of if you could have a full crew and you said you could do it in 24 hours, because you can't, because of the restrictions, what is the timeline to remove the set?
We can do it in 10 days.
10 days. How about we say 2 weeks?
I'll amend that for 2 weeks.
I'll accept the amendment.
Motion been made and seconded with the amendment of 2 weeks as the timeline. Any discussion from the board? All those in favor would signify by saying aye.
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 No,
4 noes, 1 nay.
I agree with Bonnie. You're shooting yourself in the foot.
Thank you. We've had discussion, Susan. Thank you.
You should all be wearing masks. Have a good night.
We are.
I'm not.
No, you're
Thank you.
I don't need to.
Next on the agenda is item 9. We have a tax rate.
We can't hear you, Shannon.
Sorry. We just received all the figures that we needed to be able to put together the town tax rate. So sorry about this or call a special meeting. So to just briefly go over it, our current grand list is 4.699 million. And with the articles that were approved at town meeting and with the budget and the addition, the 119.5 that the voters put back in to the highway, the current tax rate would be 1.1058, which is an increase of approximately 2.8 cents.
Increase of 0.028, correct?
Yeah, or 2.8 cents.
That's what that equates to, is 2.8 cents?
Correct.
Gaetano, when you're ready for comments, questions?
Peter had his hand up. Either one of you
Okay.
can go first, whoever would like to go first.
Peter can go first.
I get where we're going with this, but what does the edict from the state say that we can adjust our budget due to COVID? Is that, I know we have to set a tax rate, so that we're kind of stuck on a date for that. I understand that, but what does that do?
We can adjust our budget this year because of COVID.
Okay, so what's that going to relate to on the tax rate then? Are we going to be going, say, we get the tax bills out in August, maybe or July for August. I don't know if we're even going to be able to do that, but going forward, maybe September, we find out that we need to adjust it. Is that we're going to have to resend tax bills out again?
We are.
To me, we're getting redundant here at this point, I would think, but maybe we don't have a choice in that respect.
We could choose as a municipality to not. So it's not that we have to meet a July 10th or 15th deadline for any state guidelines or federal guidelines. We have to have our first tax bill due 30 days after the tax bills are postmarked. If we wanted to wait and hold off until we redo a budget and we see what happens, that's not my recommendation. My recommendation, although I don't want to do this either, is to, send out revised tax bills if we decide that we want to change our budget.
Maybe we need to come back in December or something and revisit this and see where we sit with the budget. And that way we'd only have to send out one more tax bill instead of, 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, or maybe revisit in October and see and if there's something we want to do by December or something like
I mean,
that.
with the impact of this COVID thing, I mean, nothing could be getting done and things could come to a dead standstill. Hopefully, I wouldn't want to say we're not going to spend any money, but, the expenses will be down considerably, hopefully, and we may be able to make an adjustment in 6 months. Doesn't help the taxpayer much at the first 6 months, but at least if we can make an adjustment to make it somewhere near a balance, then
The other thing is
that would be a step.
taxpayers will
And then going forward in the
see
next,
state and federal
fiscal.
subsidies come through as well to help them with these tax bills.
just some thoughts. Okay, so I'm done.
Well, I mean, my question was similar to that, and also the point that there are drastic changes in this budget because you eliminated positions that are in the budget. So we're not saving any taxpayers' money because those positions were limited. They're still there. They're going to be taxed
That's
in
true.
that budget line. And so I don't know. I mean, I just want people to know that.
They know that.
We have a drastically changed budget.
They voted to put the money in, Susan. I'm sure they know that.
Yeah, I know, but there was talk that when positions in town hall were eliminated, that it was helping to save the taxpayer. I'm just pointing out it is not saving the taxpayer because that budget line is still in the budget. It's just not, that position is not being filled. And so what happens is that money just goes into the general fund. It is not saving taxpayers. So I think if there's going to be so many changes to the budget, maybe we do need to relook at that budget and take advantage of what the governor is allowing us to do, or the legislature, is to revise the budget at the select board level to reflect the new cost under COVID.
When, October? We want to do that?
The other thing that
October
comes
is,
into play here too, Sue, is that the COVID expenses can be used. We can use money from the government for COVID expenses, which may or may not apply here. So we have to, that's another thing. And like I say, 6 months. At that point, we might have a pretty good idea where we're going with this, and then we can make an adjustment at that point to the budget that may help the taxpayers.
and then would we be refunding people? What would the process be?
Gaetano.
Yes.
Or would that money just go into the general fund?
So
in the 6 months?
Shannon has an answer, Susan.
So Chuck and I would like to have a proposed revised budget to you as soon as possible based on all of the changes and the cost savings, and take advantage of what the governor is allowing us to do. And as much as I know Pam and Brenda won't be happy about this, we would send out revised tax bills so that people would effectively have the cost savings in this year.
Mr. Chairman, give me a chance.
Stefan has a question now, Susan. Yeah.
Okay.
And directed towards our finance and the municipal manager. I know with the previous administrator, we were keeping track of what our costs are involving COVID. Are we still doing that?
Absolutely.
And I don't, because there was some talk I've seen on the news, et cetera, about in other communities, whether it be a FEMA type thing or
No,
reimbursement.
Absolutely was her.
We're
answer.
tracking
Absolutely.
it, and we also, Gary Fox is watching everything that we are able to recoup funds for or apply for or anything like that. So and Chuck
That's
is-
wonderful. Great. Then thank you. Just want to make sure we're still doing that.
All right.
Is
So,
that all correct, Chuck, what I said?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
anything to add?
So are you saying that you really don't want to approve this tax rate until you present the new budget, or?
In order to send out tax bills and give anybody any number, we have to set a
Okay,
tax
no,
bill.
I was just wondering,
Yeah,
you just mentioned the new budget figures and, okay. That'll give you guys time to work on it anyway,
So yeah, I just want to get some clarification on that too. So the first tax bill would be based on the budget we passed in March. And then we would relook at it, and potentially the second tax bill of this cycle will be revised if we've revised the budget, correct?
Well, we would want to do it all at once, so the town and village would both have to review their budgets approve new budget numbers based on the governor's orders, and then we would revise tax bills.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah,
When-
I mean, I don't know if the village would have too many changes. It's mainly the changes that have been in the town, correct?
Well, if they want to change anything, they have the opportunity to do
Yeah.
it as well per governor's orders, and the village and town are on the same tax bill. So we don't want to, we want to just
Okay.
send out revised tax bills once.
Completely separate
Okay.
than reduced staffing while we're redoing the budget. Yes, sir.
I've not been asleep at the wheel, but I've been essential, so I've been working. But I want to ask, because I've heard, I catch bits and pieces here and read about it, and we talked about it a while back. The school assessment, that school tax, what's gone on with that? Because at the time, I think about a month ago, we were talking about a supplemental bill because the state hadn't established that school tax rate
So
yet.
we received the school tax
We
rate
did.
today.
Today, okay.
Today.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, I know they were looking at some of the discussion, I went to the site for the legislative review there. They were talking about spending $100 million in deficit mode.
Hmm.
The education tax rates
Yeah.
did go up substantially.
So could you give us a little bit of briefing? How did that school tax rate look compared to previous years?
It went up.
Uh-huh.
I did not
Okay,
bring the figures with me.
It
I
went
can-
up, oops, sorry, Shannon, about 3 cents.
okay,
Oh, good. That's been good.
Better than they anticipated.
right.
And of course, that will depend on what everyone gets in their tax rebate. It could be less for certain taxpayers.
Right, okay. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't hear that today. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
All right, so that'll do it for now, and then when,
So if you guys could make the motion,
oh, okay.
or if someone could make,
Yep,
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to set the town tax rate at $1.10. Excuse me, let me try that again. Set the town tax rate as 1.1058 and accept the educational tax rates as and when they are provided by the state of Vermont for fiscal year 2021.
Second.
motion been made and seconded to set the town tax rate 1.1058. Any further discussion, questions? Did I get your number right? All those in favor would signify by saying aye.
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 Passes. Thank you. Now we have to review agenda items for the next meeting. Excuse me? August 4th. So I have a couple things here. You with us, sir?
Yes.
I think we should have, or perhaps we might have an update with the Saxons River Alley walkway, I think 16.1, right? Is that the address?
26 point
26.
26.1, we have a draft contract with Jones Brothers. We're working to finalize that. And yes, I will be ready for you on August 4th.
Excellent. And is that also the meeting that Vermont Department of Transportation will be here to discuss the bridge number 38. I want to notify the folks watching at home and who may read the website to be prepared to attend that meeting, right?
Indeed. And that is a huge meeting where they solicit local concerns and they really get a sense of what we think that any bridge work should entail. So this is really the most important time for citizens to participate in what's called the design and engineering phase of any transportation project.
So that'd be August 4th for the folks at home. And we're talking about, it's bridge number 38, but it's the steel bridge on Missing Link Road, right at the train tracks there. We all know the one we're talking about, which at this point would put a significant detour for all those folks. So let's all come and speak on behalf of ideas. Those are the two items I had to add to the agenda. Yet we have a hand over here.
I'm just asking, is that the meeting house meeting, or are you gonna wait till September?
say? I don't know. Is that when we do that?
Well, we discussed that about with them coming, right? So we said no.
The answer was no. We expect some attendance and we're going to be COVID compliant. I think,
Thank you.
especially when we need to be heard, but we also need to hear what other people are saying. I think it's an imperative that we're all here in person. So, yes, so in the theater is probably going to be where we move this meeting.
Okay. I don't see why not. But does it get dark?
I had thought,
If you're gonna do it, you just have a short agenda.
but they
that's
said, didn't we get a thing the other day saying that they're closed to the public for the rest of the year?
And there's significant work going on right now with the plaster, so
To be determined.
to be
The next
determined.
one is here.
Good question.
all. Dr. Lutman shaking his head back there.
Anyone else? Or manager? Agenda items for our next meeting? You think of anything, write it down. Need to review and approve orders, bills, and warrants.
Motion to approve the orders, bills, warrants, circulated here.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. To review and approve orders, bills, and warrants have been circulated here tonight at Rockingham Select Board meeting. All those in favor would please signify by saying aye.
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 Other business. Susan,
I'm all set for now. Thank you.
Peter,
Yeah, just one. In my walks, I noticed down here by Richard's Insurance, I thought there was stuff that fell off the building, but apparently it's car parts that are laying on the sidewalk.
where?
Right down here by Richard's. I think what happened is somebody with a low car came in and hit the curb. When they backed up, they pulled all the plastic air dam right off, and it's laying up against Richard's building.
We'll figure that out tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I don't know.
Thank you.
I didn't know if anybody seen it. I just happened to go by there, and I've been there for 3 or 4 days, and I said, well, lawn off the building, so it looks like it's plastic car parts to me. But
Thank you very much. I have nothing. Ben,
I'm good for now.
good. Stefan?
Just to reiterate what the manager said, and I think you mentioned it also yourself, Mr. Chairman, it was for a holiday weekend and having a fire on the holiday proximity. Definitely a good showing. And luckily, fortunate that nobody was hurt.
we do have to commend the fire department. They did a pretty good job of saving Wilbur's building out there. I tell you, pretty close proximity there.
You're here. Everyone involved, thank you very much. Okay, we have 2 executive sessions, one legal matter and then personnel.
Mr. Chairman, I move to find that premature general knowledge of pending probable civic litigation or prosecution to which the public body is or may be a party will clearly place the municipality substantial disadvantage negotiating strategy for litigation. I need a second for that one.
Second.
You gotta vote on it. Then I got a second one.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Second motion
Aye.
is to move that the board enter executive session to discuss the probable litigation, i.e. contract or it's a legal issue under provision of Title I, Section 313, parentheses A, parentheses 1 of the Vermont statutes.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We're in executive session. What we'll do, Susan, is have you call my telephone if you'd like.
Yep. Call your number, Gaetano.